What's up, people? It's your boy DieHard Derek along with Flash Nico G, and it is the Midnight Hustle Podcast, episode 1. I can't even do those sound effects, man. We're gonna have to get like the Cardi B sound effects board or something like that. Yeah, it'd be kind of cool, man. So episode 1, you've been busting my balls to do this for the longest time. Like, yo, when we doing this podcast? When are we doing the Midnight Hustle? When's it launching? And, you know, we've had so many things to work on. I'm working on some other stuff with a wrestling partner of mine, Georgia Smith. Shout out to Georgia Smith out there, doing her thing, What's on Georgia's Mind on iHeartRadio. And you've been doing your stuff online with whatever you've been doing. I don't know. What have you been doing?
Getting into Fortnite teams.
So he's busy. Yeah, Fortnite teams, man. This guy, one day, you should follow him now. He's going to be an e-gamer and a movie director. So make sure you're following him now. Yep. Stat pronto. As a matter of fact, you want to hit him with your handles, your Twitter handle?
With the right here.
Oh, okay. And I see you got Instagram too. Nice.
Yeah, you're right.
Well, you can follow me right here. And I lost a hand when I did that. But it's her, okay? And don't forget, because this is the Midnight Hustle, put that shit up right over here. Bam! Yeah. All right. But anyway, so like I said, we've been trying to do this shit for a long time, and Nico goes, yo, man, let's do this for Joker. Let's start it. Because we've been talking about wanting to discuss movies on this podcast.
Like, how many months?
For a long time. Months. And I get caught up with things. You're unreliable. And so it's just a matter of when we're going to get together. So the other night, on a Thursday night, because Joker just dropped on Friday. Thursday night, they were doing the advanced screenings of Joker. And we're like, you know what? This is perfect because there's so much that we can discuss about it. Let me just let you guys know right now. This is spoilers, man. If you don't want to hear this, get the fuck out of here, okay? Yes, we're spoiling it, all right? And we're not doing it because we're assholes. We're doing it because this shit's going to be on the internet. And then I can't like talk in secret code about a movie in detail. We can't give like a legit review. And you know, after the first weekend or week for that matter, everybody's gonna have seen this movie.
Yeah.
So what's the sense? So if you don't want to hear spoilers, get the fuck out of here right now. Okay. Now getting into it, Joker, starring Joaquin Phoenix. Shout out to him for a phenomenal performance and directed by Todd Phillips. This is a guy, and I don't know if you're familiar with Todd Phillips' work, but he directed the Hangover movies, Due Date, War Dogs, with Miles Teller and Jonah Hill. So he's got a long track record of doing comedy. And this is the first time. See, I always said that this was like when Danny McBride and David Gordon Green did Halloween. Right. Because they're out of their element. You've known them for such a long time doing these comedy routines and writing comedy, and now they want to dabble in horror. And this guy's dabbling and pretty much changing the comic game. Now you know me. I'm not a comic guy.
Yeah.
Are you?
Certain characters, certain movies.
Certain characters. I mean, like you.
Certain characters, and if the movie's good, if the character is played out well in a film.
But do you read comic books? Do you follow the storylines within the comics so that when you see a movie, you're like, bullshit? That's not the way the comic is.
Certain characters.
Which characters?
Like Spider-Man, maybe Batman.
Okay.
Sometimes, like, maybe Superman sometimes.
You see, when I was growing up, they had one issue per superhero. So they had Batman, they had Spider-Man, they had the X-Men. Then sometime in the 90s, they were like, yo, X-Men, this, that, the other thing. And they got this issue as an alternate dimension and a multiverse. And I'm like, yo.
And now we have like thousands of issues of one character.
Right, and I can't keep up with that shit. Nor do I want to, because I'm not a comic guy. Shout out to Unstoppable Comics, my dude out there at New York Comic Con right now, Jay Rosario. Check it out, Unstoppable Comics.
You want to put his handle in there?
I don't read that shit either. But yeah, right here, Unstoppable Comics. Check it out, man. Support the brother out there. But yeah, the thing is with me is like I appreciate an artist. So for those people out there who know me, I'm a huge Kanye West fan. So when Kanye tries to change the game on every album, I'm not saying Kanye West is the most likable person in the world. He's a fucking asshole, okay? But I'm not judging him as a person. I'm judging him based on his art. So in this case, I like to see actors and directors and writers step out of their comfort zone try something new. Jordan Peele did that with Get Out, and Us and everything that he's been doing with the Twilight Zone. So to see Todd Phillip step up the game like that and take what's huge right now. A couple of years ago, the zombie genre was the big thing.
Popping.
Everybody's doing zombies. You had The Walking Dead kicking things off.
Zombieland.
George Romero started that back in the 60s with Night of the Living Dead, and pretty much was the father of zombies. But that's died down because the Marvel Cinematic Universe has pretty much taken over cinema as we know it. Superheroes, man.
Comics.
I can't say that I'm a huge fan of, like I said before, I'm not a fan of comics. I wouldn't call myself a comic guy. I don't buy comics. I don't read comics. But
storytelling in a movie for it.
It is. And the way, you know what really got me is, you can really break down some of the comic book movies that change the game when it's going from page and panel to screen.
Yeah.
And they've had a lot of failures. They still have failures. Look at the DC Universe.
Green Lantern.
Yeah, shit like Justice League.
Suicide Squad.
Woo, trash.
Speaking of that, Birds of Prey.
We'll discuss that in another podcast. Birds of Prey coming out, which we have a little difference of opinion, so we're going to do a little trailer reaction on an upcoming episode, possibly the next one. But so we don't get off track here because we want to discuss the movie Joker. But to my point, there were movies like when I was a kid, Christopher Reeve's Superman changed the game. I think Superman 2 is one of the greatest comic book movies of all time. What's his name? Tim Burton.
Batman.
Tim Burton Batman.
My favorite Batman movie.
Yeah. Tim Burton's Batman, the first one. I don't know why, Batman Returns gets a bad rep. I'm not a big fan of it.
But Batman 1.
First Batman with Jack Nicholson.
Money
Money movie, okay? Changed the game. People want to go out and make superhero movies. They failed at that. But then to me, I don't know if you've ever seen it, but the first X-Men movie that Bryan Singer did.
The
first X-Men movie, I believe that was in 2000 or 1999. Solid flick, man.
I'm big on those.
Because the thing is, you would say, oh, they're making an X-Men movie that, Wolverine's gonna be in the yellow tights.
I don't like Wolverine like that. That's the thing.
But
because X-Men Origins is my favorite one. The best one.
Hey, man.
X-Men Origins is the best X-Men movie to date.
Look, that's what. Wait, what?
The one with Liev Schreiber.
I know X-Men Origins. I know what you're talking about. But I'm just saying, you're saying that's the best X-Men movie to date.
Besides Deadpool, because he might count it.
You all took his Twitter handles, right? And you took his Instagram handles because you can hit him up and just argue with him about that right now.
And I'll hold my word.
So then you tell me, sell me on that right now. Why Wolverine X-Men Origins is the best X-Men movie to date?
I don't know, because these last ones have been trash.
It started with I don't know.
These last ones have been trash. Did you see Dark Phoenix?
No.
Exactly. That's exactly my point.
But it's not
exactly my point. Did you see Dark Phoenix? No. Did you see the one before that? No.
Okay.
Actually, not true. I take off my word. Logan is the best X-Men movie that's out.
Do you consider it an X-Men movie or is it a standalone Wolverine movie?
I count it as an X-Men movie because Wolverine is the leader of the X-Men.
I agree with that, and I take that. Yeah, go ahead, go into the library there.
Yeah.
But all right, so let me get back to good job. Let me get back to the original. My original point about the X-Men is that when you hear, oh, they're making an X-Men movie finally, you're expecting them to look the same way they look in the comics. So when Bryan Singer took it upon himself, saying, no, I'm going to make this more character development, bring it more human, meets the supernatural, meets the mutants, and they're all going to wear a standard uniform that was assigned to them. People are like, yo, where's Wolverine's shit? And there's a joke in the movie where Wolverine suits up for the first time. Logan suits up for the first time. They get into the ship. And he goes, "Oh man, these are our outfits." And Cyclops looks at you, goes, "What'd you expect? Yellow tights?" Which was a funny rib. And I'm like, you know what? I'm glad they took that direction. And then to further it, when Christopher Nolan did the Dark Knight trilogy, to me, perhaps the greatest comic book trilogy, and I'm not talking about MCU right now. I'm going to get into that in a second. But Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy felt realistic.
The only one I didn't like is the one with Scarecrow. And I wasn't huge on Dark Knight Rises. I feel like I loved how they did Bane. I loved how they did Joker, but I felt like Scarecrow was weak. But for the first one, for Batman Begins, if you're going to start off strong and have your sequel and the next one after that to be really good, you got to start off with a banger. You can't have a weak villain as your first movie.
But it wasn't necessarily weak. First of all, you're doing an origin story. Second of all, if you really think about it, Scarecrow wasn't the main villain. It was Ra's al Ghul.
Yeah.
So you're getting a little bit of how it's teacher against student. Now that Batman's on his own, Ra's al Ghul had his own agenda, and then the Scarecrow character. What I loved about Christopher Nolan is saying, okay, how do we take an IP? How do we take a character that's known and beloved for so long and then translate it to screen for a modern time, ground it a little bit so everything's not superhero. He didn't like get hit by a lightning bolt or he doesn't have these superpowers. It's just like, how does a person transform, a human being transform into a monster, which is the big point on the Joker. Exactly. So I like the fact that the Scarecrow was a doctor, that he was using his medicine to hallucinate people. And I love the ending of that movie when they're introducing the Joker.
The Joker, yeah.
Where Commissioner Gordon has to say, oh, there's another bad guy out there.
It's like...
Yeah,
the clown thing, yeah.
It's a clown thing. He goes, oh, he left his calling card, and the guy's got a big thing for the theatrics. He flips it over. It's the Joker. Like, oh, man. And even Heath's performance and Tom Hardy's performance as Bane, where they're humans. You know, Keith is playing a disgruntled... Keith? Well, Heath, yeah.
You said Keith.
No, Heath.
You said Keith.
Yo, dude, get the wax out your ears.
Keith.
No, I'm not... Shut up. Stick on the point. Stay on the point, all right?
So play that.
So Heath is playing up with the scars and everything. You don't know what the real story is. And then Bane is almost like a patriot, where you can understand where he's coming from, kind of like what John Travolta played in Swordfish. Yeah. But I don't know. So when I'm looking at those films, I enjoyed them because it wasn't overly CGI. It wasn't all this flying and these bots and green screen.
But you do have a love for Avengers Endgame, and that movie probably had the most CGI in a superhero film to date.
I would say so.
Besides Green Lantern 2.
And like I said, after the Nolan movies, you get into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And don't get me wrong, there's 23 movies there as of right now?
21, 23.
22, something like that, okay? And all of them are not great. A lot of them have some of their flaws, okay? But Endgame, until I saw Joker, Endgame was the best film of the year. Hands down, should be nominated for Best Picture, should win Best Picture. I mean, Endgame, start to finish, I mean, it pulls on every string. It hits every key, every note. Dude.
You saw his handles. You can fight him on that, so.
What, Endgame?
I mean.
Are you kidding me?
I think Joker could top it.
All right, but I said prior to Joker coming out, to me, Endgame was the best movie of the year. Like, that is the movie that should win Best Picture. Until we just saw Joker.
Yeah.
Now, I want to get into the meat and potatoes of that. So, what are your thoughts on what we just experienced seeing this Joker movie?
It's probably the best performance of Joker I've seen since Heath. And, like, even the animated stuff with Mark Hamill.
Okay.
I think the way he had to change himself to become that role and be the... Not even that, like, the whole movie... He wasn't Joker. He didn't have to be the clown the whole movie. He had to be this mentally ill person. And you'd have to see him go through the struggles of his life and get so far to a point that he becomes the Joker.
And you know, when I put out my review on Facebook and on Twitter, and I just said hands down, first of all, this is a masterpiece. Yeah. It's perfection from the first frame to the credits roll. It is an absolute masterpiece of work. From storytelling, acting, directing, cinematography, character development. It is a perfect film. I absolutely love and adore the Joker movie. With that said, though, this film, everybody says, is he better than Heath?
I can't compare him to Heath.
That's the thing.
But he's the best since I've seen.
Of course. And there haven't been that many. I mean, Jared Leto. You have to.
I don't really count Jared Leto.
Oh, you have to count Jared Leto. He played the Joker.
You can count him, but I feel like his take on it was like too hardcore.
But that's the key: is the take. Every actor comes into the set and has to have their interpretation of what the Joker is. So you have the source material in the comic books. You have the first
Cesar
Romero from back in the day when he was Batman '66, you know, performing with Adam West, and you know everybody has an interpretation of Joker. So when Heath came on the set of The Dark Knight, changed the game completely and won an Oscar for that. Okay, Best Supporting Actor. Jared Leto had big shoes to fill. Jared Leto was like, damn, nah, I got it. All right, well, listen, I'm going to do something a little different. Make him a little pimp, a little hood, give him the gold front, the tattoos, the guns and everything.
Snakeskin jacket.
That's his take. I was open to it when I saw Suicide Squad. I was like, all right, I dig it. You're not doing the Heath thing. You're not just calling it in. You took it on your own. You recreated the character in your own form, in your own vision. I get it.
The movie didn't. Dude.
Well,
He's barely in the movie.
Look, the movie's straight up trash. All right, movie's garbage.
Movie's garbage. As soon as they get on that plane, on that helicopter to go to the city, the movie's terrible. Everything before that is great.
DC movies has a problem with their third acts. Man of Steel, absolutely love.
Perfect.
Movie's fantastic. Okay, the first half of Batman versus Superman. I love it. The first half.
And then Doomsday, like, ugh.
Oh, trash. It's just when even for the critically acclaimed and I think it's grossly overrated Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman was great. I liked it until the end.
What? The third act.
The third act.
So it can't be
where
great.
Where she fought Ares.
Because they're like, oh shit, we got all these toys in After Effects. Let's just and throw that shit out there.
But I think the only movie that does that shit in all acts.
What?
Justice League. It's horrible. I think the first act was good.
The first act,
but it dragged.
The first act's good because it's almost like
showing them how they got together.
He's got to recruit the team. He's like, hey, we have this big threat on our hands. I need the squad, and then he's got to convince them. It kind of reminds me of like Ocean's 11. Yeah. Like I got to get everybody else to make sure that we get this heist down. And that's what happened to Suicide Squad. Is that the beginning's dope because you're
seeing the backstories of everybody, and it's cool.
You're introduced to the characters on why they have to come together, why they're coming out of prison, that they all have this want to get out and maybe screw the government to escape until they get out of prison. And it's like, oh god, I mean the villain terrible. But again, we're losing sight of the Joker.
Was there even a villain?
The huntress, the chick.
What chick?
The ghost girl at the end that was taking over the body.
I thought she was a part. Ooh, Cara Delevingne. The ghost chick.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But I thought she was a part of the Suicide Squad.
Well, no, they had to stop her because she was gonna Well, yeah, I don't know.
No, I thought she was a part of the
squad. Movie's so
bad,
I can't even figure the fuck out. I don't know. Don't care. I'm not watching that movie. James Gunn got a Suicide Squad movie that's coming out. Not necessarily a reboot, continuation, but not a continuation. So, the Suicide Squad. They just started filming. Yeah. I don't know. We'll talk about that in another podcast. Joker. Let's get down to the meat and potatoes of Joker. So, as I was saying before, the first question everybody's asking is he better than Heath?
No.
You can't answer that question.
You can't compare him.
Because for two reasons. One, in The Dark Knight,
he's bouncing off of Batman.
Exactly. There's balance.
Yeah, he has to.
So you're looking at the hero and you're looking at the villain.
He has to be the villain to Batman's hero.
Exactly. Right. And the thing is, he's already Joker. You don't know his origin story. You don't know why he is the way he is.
He just comes on the set as the clown.
Right. He just comes on and starts owning shit right off the bat. And then you watch it like, wow, like he transforms into Joker. The difference between Joaquin is that he's not Joker until the very end of the movie, but you're watching.
But you're watching him become that crazy person.
Becoming the Joker,
and
right?
That's the great part about the movie.
And I love that because the thing is, Joker is not a superhero movie at all. I would not categorize it as a superhero film, even though it comes from superhero IP. Yeah. And there's no Batman. There's no Batman references.
There is Batman references.
All right,
you see Bruce Wayne.
You see Bruce Wayne as a kid. And Thomas Wayne plays a central role.
Thomas and Martha get killed, which is Batman's backstory.
Of course. I know that's something I want to talk about later because I liked the way they went about it.
I do think that Joker should have killed them though.
Why?
I think it would have added more edge.
But it would have been too predictable.
It would have been predictable, but just to have some random guy that's a part of the posse.
But that's all right. So get this. So here's where spoilers comes in. Okay. Again, if you haven't seen the movie. Fuck out of here. Scooch. Boom. Be gone. So throughout the film, Joker's mom, or Arthur Fleck's mom,
Penny.
She seems like she's suffering from dementia, and she keeps writing letters to Thomas Wayne saying, "Hey, I need your help.
I need your help with my son."
Well, here's the thing: we don't even know that part until he decides to read one of these letters. He's like, "Mom, he's not going to come to us. We're poor people." She goes, "Oh, but I used to work for him 30 years ago, and he hated see. He would always help us, and because I worked for him, he wouldn't like the living conditions I'm in." And one night she writes another letter because she's waiting for a response. The response never comes. And Arthur opens up the letter and she's pleading like, "Oh, please help me and your son," as if there was an affair. And you're like, "Oh shit!" So Arthur, or Joker, is like the half brother to Batman.
What is going on?
And oh, what's going on?
What?
So he holds this in his heart. He wants to confront Thomas Wayne, and he ends up going to the Wayne Manor. And who's he see playing outside?
Bruce Wayne.
Little Bruce Wayne. Bruce had to be what? 10 years old, maybe? 9,
Less
10
than
years
that,
old?
like 8.
Maybe.
He was small.
He was young, starts messing around with him and stuff like that. And, you know, it leads up. He's looking at him almost like saying, wow.
Like, how are you my brother?
Like, we're technically related. That's my dad, too. Look how you live and look how I'm living. Like, you know, I don't want anything. I just want to know why. So he goes around with that hurt and that pain throughout the movie. Until he confronts Thomas Wayne. And Thomas Wayne tells him, spoilers, all right, tells him, your mother was psychotic. That's why we had to let her go.
She was at Arkham.
Yeah, she was committed to Arkham. You're adopted. She wanted a baby. I helped her get the adoption. You're the adopted kid. We don't know who your parents are, but you're definitely not my kid, so fuck out of here.
That's
nothing to do with you.
Who could be his parents?
Who cares who his parents are? But my point is that Arthur goes to see Bruce. Bruce eventually understands
what's going on.
What's going on in the world, because now they've got that movement, the clown movement going on. He knows that this clown showed up to his house.
But he didn't show up as a clown. He showed up as Arthur Fleck.
But he's doing fucking clown tricks. He's got the thing with the nose and the flowers and all that other shit. So,
nod to Jack Nicholson, though.
We will discuss the nods at it, because there were some nods there to old school Jokers. But he ends up... So while the entire riot, the city's going up in flames, Gotham City's just burning down at the hands of all these clowns doing this movement, here comes, traditionally, Martha and Thomas Wayne coming out of the movie after watching Zorro, and just some random dudes like, you know, I'm a bad guy too, I'm gonna stick him up in a clown mask, and kills him in an alley. And
it's because none of them like Thomas Wayne.
Well, because Thomas Wayne was a fucking asshole. And if you look at deeper at this movie, the movie, kind of like a George Romero film,
it has meaning.
It has meaning, but it also has a social commentary about social class and how the poor and the mentally ill are treated by the upper level, the upper echelon, the elite. Where they look down and be like, oh, you're a piece of shit. You're a clown. You're a joker. You're worthless. You're a burden on society. The poor, the mentally ill, you provide nothing, and you always want a handout from us. That's what makes Thomas Wayne the wild asshole in this movie. So in seeing that, yeah, it's not Arthur Fleck that goes to kill Thomas Wayne, but
Arthur Fleck's
influence killed Thomas Wayne, right? So somebody who's also mentally ill out there is like, yo, fuck this guy and fuck this rich family and fuck them all. I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna go kill these people, and he kills them. But Bruce doesn't know, because the guy's wearing a mask. All he remembers
is the clown.
Is the clown that killed him. So whether it was Arthur that killed Thomas Wayne, or it was his influence that influenced somebody else,
he's still gonna hate.
He's gonna hate the clown, right? And he's gonna blame the clown for what happened. The clown is the reason for the riot. The clown is what killed my parents. And I think that was so good, because it would have been you would have expected it too much. It's like, oh, you were my dad, and then we thought you were my dad, and it found out you weren't. You shit all over me and my mom, and this is what happened, and I blame you, and I'm gonna kill you, and now your son's gonna grow up fatherless the way I did. They could have easily gone that route, but
they could. Yeah, but they also couldn't have done that because the cops arrested him at Murray's show.
True. I mean, of course, it happened, but
they kind of had to do that.
The kid doesn't know that at that moment, and maybe even later on in life, yeah, he'll put the pieces together. He'll realize that it wasn't Joker who killed his parents, but Joker's influence.
Yeah.
And Joker's influence will later develop guys like Penguin and Riddler and Bane and Poison Ivy, whatever the case is. But we don't need that right now.
Yeah.
So with the Joker that we're seeing, man, this entire movie, that performance, off the charts. I do not know another performance this year that can top Joaquin Phoenix.
Gotta think about that.
Yeah, you could think very hard about that. You're not gonna find one. Look, and
but do you think RD Square can top him as Iron Man?
All right, so I'm gonna tell you something about acting that a lot of people kind of overlook, especially in today's day and age. You look at the greatest actors out there. I love Denzel Washington, right? Look at Al Pacino, look at Robert De Niro, you look at George Clooney's, the Brad Pitts, and all these guys, and when you watch their movies now, they're playing George Clooney, Brad Pitt, Al Pacino, Robert De Niro, Denzel Washington, just speaking words. And yeah, they go in, they deep the character, but there's never been really a transformation. A fit. Now, De Niro did it back in the day with Raging Bull. Christian Bale did it with The Machinist and The Fighter, which he won an Oscar for.
Wait, which one did he win an Oscar for? The Machinist or The Fighter?
The Fighter. So, I mean, he went full crackhead mode. Robert De Niro playing Jake LaMotta. They took time off so he can gain this weight after he retired from boxing, became a nightclub owner, but he went through a transformation. Joaquin Phoenix goes through a physical transformation, a mental transformation, and that's what a lot of commitment that a lot of actors today don't do. Christian Bale is probably the only other person. He just did it last year for the Dick Cheney movie, for Vice. So you saw the transformation. That wasn't makeup and putty. That was him becoming a fat motherfucker by eating ice cream and pancakes all day. That's what happened. Joaquin Phoenix lost all this weight where it pretty much, I heard an interview that he had on ID10T with Chris Hardwick.
Yeah.
And he's just saying, yeah, man, you go into that mental transformation, you lose it, you start looking at yourself in the mirror, you start wondering who you're becoming. It starts messing with how you move your body, how you're feeling that day, your moods, your facial expressions. And this dude went through a transformation. Tom Hanks has a movie coming out later this year where he's playing Mr. Rogers, and it looks endearing as hell. But there's no way he went through a transformation the way Joaquin Phoenix did. This guy,
no way.
Hands down, best actor, best performance of the year. And as much as I loved Iron Man in Endgame and all the notes that it hit and all the sentimental value that it brought, and losing Iron Man after 10 years, man, Robert Downey Jr. was my vote. But now, Joaquin Phoenix snatched it. Gone, dude.
Out of the ballpark.
But let me ask you a question. Being 13 years old, seeing this movie. Oh, thank you. No, we're only recording it here. Be as fucking loud as you want. People in the house, can you believe that? Unreal. Have no respect for art, man. This is the art, damn it. This is the art. So, I forgot what I was saying. Oh,
13 years old.
Right, 13 years old, okay? You're living in a society now where you're constantly hearing about shootings and school shootings and church shootings and just random shootings.
Yeah.
Do you see this as a reflection of the life that you're living today?
I don't see it as a reflection, but I feel like they definitely took influence of what's going on. They're like, this is what's going on. We're gonna take this idea of this superhero villain, make this idea, but it's gonna like have a meaning that's for this
generation.
This generation. What's going on?
My thing is, like, every time that there's a shooting somewhere, and granted, right now the military, U.S. military, is taking a stance right now where they're taking all this precaution with the movie theaters, especially after what happened back in 2012 in Aurora, where somebody dressed up as the Joker and shot up a movie theater. There's a part of this film that I think people are trying to steer clear from, because the Joker and Joaquin's character doesn't start the movie as a villain.
He's more like the victim.
He's a victim of society. He's forgotten. He's writing in his journal. He's going for mental help, right? And the mental health program, they do away with. They're like, we lost funding, so you can't get your medicine anymore. I can't see a psychiatrist anymore. Yeah. And before she had to break that news, she was like, hey, write a diary. And it's a self-loathing diary. He says something to the effect of, I hope my death makes more sense than my life. And he just says all these things where he doesn't feel like he exists in the world. He's not acknowledged by people. He's not acknowledged by society. What do I have to do to be accepted or to be acknowledged, to be noticed? And that's why he has that interaction with Zazie Beetz' character, which you had a great spin on that. Yeah, we'll get to that in a minute. But the mental instability that Arthur has in the movie is a problem in America today. That's why people, they're trying to do gun reform, obviously because you don't want shootings to happen, you don't want the guns to go in the wrong hands, but you also want to have mental health checks. Make sure that people with mental issues aren't going out there purchasing firearms and then looking at a film like The Joker as inspiration and saying the same way African-American children saw Black Panther, said, man, I never saw a superhero like me on screen before. I love that. The same way females saw Wonder Woman, like, man, I've been waiting as a kid. There was never a female lead superhero. I see myself on the screen. There's a fear right now in the real world that mentally challenged people with autism, people with mental disabilities, people who suffer from depression, from anxiety, will see something like that. People who are just social outcasts will see that and be like, that's me. All I gotta do is get a gun, paint my face up, kill some people, and then I'll be on talk shows, or I'll be on the news, or I'll be remembered. Even though I became a monster, I'll be remembered. And that's scary. Because right now, in today's day and age, with technology and social media, I mean, there are so many kids out there that can be easily influenced by what they see in a film like this. And I wouldn't recommend most families to take their kids as young kids. I mean, teenagers should be smart enough, but they're easily influenced as well. And I don't know, man. I just feel like somebody at your age, how do you think people your age react to something like that?
I don't know. I feel like people, maybe even my friends, would probably just think like, oh, it's like, well, what are you trying to say? Like, react to how it's trying to be influenced by what's going on now, or things that are happening.
So I'm sure you've come across kids in your school that have been bullied.
Yeah.
Kids in your school that don't have other friends. Kids in your school that wish they were an athlete or wish they were, but they're just not built that way. I mean, kids in your school that may have like autism, let's say, okay, because that's a very common and continuously growing epidemic going on. It's just, you have some functioning kids that can function with their autism. You have some kids that cannot function at all. Yeah. But they see this as a social outcast. They see this as, oh man, I'm not gonna play with that kid because he's slow or he's retarded, or they say something like that, and then he feels bad about himself and says, well, fuck it, you know what? I'm gonna show you, or he's my hero now because he was like me. He had issues. Right. So I mean, is that something like you fear?
Not that I fear. I just like. I don't.
Do you know kids that might be influenced by seeing a movie like that to go out and do something stupid?
I don't feel like I know anybody that could, but I feel like someone in the right mind, or anyone in the right mind could do something like that, or be influenced by anything. But I could for whatever.
Right? No, you're right. Yeah, I mean anybody could. Anybody can see they're like, shit, because they're daydreamers. But the mentally ill who don't understand the ramifications of their actions, or who are looking to validate their existence in society because so many people have just like ignored them. Say, hey, now you see me. That's some scary shit out there.
Scary.
And you a lot of when you see the real life school shootings and church shootings and synagogue shootings and concert shootings and just these mass tragedies that happen all over the world, a lot of times the cowards end up shooting themselves, so you never really get to understand, or the police. You never understand their motives for wanting to do it. In this movie, that might be the only thing that gets kind of messy, where you muddy the waters a little bit, because you feel for Arthur. You see him.
He does these things, and you're like,
yeah,
why?
Well, like the first set of killings. I mean, he's getting jumped on the train.
But it was self-defense, basically.
Yeah, basically. But
being him, that weak person who can't fight back.
So you're justifying his actions.
I'm not justifying his actions, but the way he's been treated this whole movie that you've been seeing, he's not fighting back. He's not trying to save himself from anything. He just sits there and takes the beating.
Right.
You can understand, like, he can't defend himself.
Right, and things would have been different had he not had the gun.
Yeah.
So, and the way he gets the gun,
he would have been left there like he did with the kids from the sign if he didn't have that gun.
Right, and then he would have gone back and just dealt with it and like, hey, it's another day in my life of getting fucked up out there by people who are stronger than me or mentally better willed than me and better equipped than me physically and mentally. So I don't know, man. I understand why there's so much controversy now, but until the world gets fixed, which it never will, not in my lifetime at least, I mean, sometimes this is the best way to go about having those discussions with people, or putting it out there, saying, this is where parents have to step and be fucking parents and talk to their children. Like, listen, what you see on the screen, let's have a conversation about it, like we're doing right now. We're discussing this situation so that you can see, oh man, don't be influenced by that. Yes, that's a piece of art, that's a piece of cinema. You can't necessarily turn away from it and be the blind eye, because then you're ignoring the problem. You have to be able to discuss the problem in order to find a solution to the problem. So I don't know, man. I think that's the one thing. Now, I've read some reviews, and there's people who take a big wet shit on this movie.
Which, I don't know why.
Well, so I've seen people say, me personally, if I gave it a rating on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 all the way. 10. Masterpiece. 10. There's some people who feel it's a masterpiece but gave it a 9. And I'm like, well, why are you giving it a 9 if you call it a masterpiece?
I think people just want more comic out of it.
Exactly.
Which is that's not what this is supposed to be. If you want to watch a comic movie, go watch Dark Knight, or go watch the Killing Joke or something like that.
Anything that
isn't this film that deals with Batman and the Joker.
Well, they feel betrayed. And they feel betrayed because there's a character that you know
and love.
And that you're familiar with, and that...
And it's taking on a different route, and you're like, what the hell is this?
But that was always the point of making this movie.
Yeah.
First of all, they did it on a modest budget. So you didn't have to spend $100-200 million
for
to create
CGI
this.
or anything.
Right, you didn't need that. This is an unraveling of a mentally ill person. This isn't an onion where you're peeling back every layer of it and getting deep to the core. And that's why I love the fact that he doesn't become the Joker until the very end of the movie. But you're watching that transformation of everything that expires. And there's no just random acts of violence. All the kills in this movie happen with purpose.
Yeah.
And I love that.
Well, the only one I didn't feel happened with purpose were the 2 ending ones.
Which ones?
Where he killed Murray.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I kind of got it, but like...
But he explained it right before he shot him.
That it was all because he wanted him on the show to make fun of him. That's why?
Right, because he's using his weakness. First of all, there's the scene where he's in the hospital. He's like, "Oh, I'm on Murray's show," and Murray plays the tape when he does stand-up comedy,
and then he's making fun of him.
And making fun of him, and he exploited a failure. I'm not gonna say a weak person because nobody knew he was weak. Nobody knew who he was. But the fact that he went up there and completely bombed on stage, and his jokes were so terrible, he failed at his dream. So Murray's exploiting his failure to get a cheap laugh, and then brings him on the show to do it to his fucking face. And then when he says that, he planned on killing himself on the show. But he's like, why am I killing myself?
When he's the one who's doing it.
Right, you're worse than I am. I'm the innocent victim, like you said, and you fucking gonna bring me on the show so you can laugh to my face? You play my... Pop, 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 pop. Yo, seriously?
Pull some Eric Andre shit.
He looked like Tekashi 6ix9ine. Dressed as a clown. Da, 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 da. Stupid, you ain't even gonna get the chance.
Can't believe you just made that reference. Well, I mean, at the end of this movie, he's where he is. So.
Yeah, it is what what happens, but
also, but not even just the kill by Murray, but what about when the at the end?
What? Which one?
When he's talking to the lady and he's like, "Oh, you wouldn't get the joke," and then he walks out and you see the blood on his feet.
Well, that's the thing. We never see it. He's
just crazy.
He's full blown psychopath at that point.
Yeah, he's Joker.
I thought you were talking about when he killed his mom.
No,
that was a shocking.
That was shocking. But I also didn't see the train kills coming at all.
Well, that came out of nowhere. So
no, like I just thought he was gonna get the shit beaten out again, and he was just gonna be left on the train, maybe passed out or something. Right. But I just pop.
Yeah.
Like what? Yo, and the fact that he didn't he shot both of them, and he didn't he literally just had that anger to not let that last guy stay alive and chased him and then bang.
But you know what? He felt power at that moment. Yeah. So it was 3-on-1. He's mentally saying, here's a bunch of Wall Street, white boys, rich guys that just pieces of shit. They, first of all, they were harassing a woman on the train. Yeah. They were drunk Wall Street guys who came out from partying trying to almost, if he wasn't there, they might have even raped that woman. So they were pieces of shit to begin with. Again, not justifying the actions, not saying that everybody should go out there and be a fucking vigilante. What I'm saying, though, is that he saw that moment where she gets off the train. Now he's alone there.
Now he's gonna be the one who's next.
Right, he's the one who's next. So yeah, it was an act of self-defense. But the minute he killed the first one, and then they see them pleading for their life. Oh shit, dude's got a gun. He's like, oh, so now I'm in control. So now I got the power. Yeah. That's so again. I can see how society would make that controversial. Like, oh, you see, if you ever feel low on the totem pole of life, go out and get yourself a gun, pop off on some bad guys, and make the world a better place. That's not the fucking point of the story at all. So, I don't know, man. But like I said, the death of his mother when he killed his mom.
Yeah, I didn't expect that at all.
You can justify that too.
But my thing is, why did he do that?
So,
my thing is maybe
Spoilers. Throughout the film, she believes, or she's told herself and convinced herself that she had an affair with Thomas Wayne and that Arthur is Thomas's son, right?
Bruce Wayne's half brother.
Right. So when he ends up going to confront Thomas, he's like, dude, your mom was delusional. We had to get her help. All she wanted was a baby, so I helped her get a baby. You're adopted. So he said she was locked up in Arkham Asylum and all this other shit. She used to abuse you. Actually, he didn't even tell her that.
The boyfriend abused her.
Right, the boyfriend did, but she allowed it to happen.
Yeah.
He found that out when he goes to Arkham. He says, I need a file for Penny Fleck. He gets the thing and
he's like, I can't release these to you.
He goes, yeah. He says, I can't release these documents to you, but it says that she was committed for abusing a child, endangering child welfare. The boyfriend would come in and beat the shit out of him, and then the kid had issues, and he had brain issues, brain damage. So he steals the file, goes and sees the adoption papers. That's legit. That's not even my real mother. So he ends up going to the hospital. She ended up having that heart attack or that stroke, whatever it was. And he's looking at her and he's just like, this fucking bitch has lied to me my whole life. Abused me. I thought you were my mom. And granted, yeah, you raised me, but what childhood memories I can't even remember. You had your boyfriends come here and beat the shit out of me so bad that now I've got brain damage. Then you're fucking lying to me now, telling me that this is my father when it's not. Bitch, it's time to cancel you. And he suffocates her in the bed. So that's what happened. Yeah. Was it justified? Would you, I mean, I don't, to a mentally ill person, sure. But on the regular, like if you found out today you were adopted, you gonna go suffocate me in my sleep?
Probably not.
Have I taken good care of you?
Yeah.
Do I beat the shit out of you?
No.
You said no like you had to think about it. You better... Man, I'll knock your ass out right now.
Oh, so now...
Oh, now I'll do it. Yeah. And it's justified, motherfucker. So, anyway, so long story short is, man, there's so many different opinions to see, to take away from this movie. But looking at it as art, I don't want to talk about the controversies, because the controversy, I mean, they're there. You understand what it is. My thing is, as a form of art, I think that Todd Phillips has done something that's a game changer. That Todd Phillips has, a lot of other people are now going to go to that approach and pitch to studios. Hey, I want to tell the story about this character, but in this direction. Did you see Joker? That's the shit I want to do now. They've done that with Logan. They've done that. I mean, MCU has changed things up a lot. But what Joker did, I mean, changed the game. It's like when Tarantino came out in '94, made Pulp Fiction, dropped an ensemble cast, and told it non-linear. It was just choppy, but all the pieces fit together at the end. I mean, that Pope, shout out to Quentin Tarantino, QT the God. Anyways, so I just feel like I feel like it's a game changer. It's a flawless film. It's fun. It's a clinic in the craft of acting, craft of developing a character, craft of...
Are we talking about Joker or Pulp?
I'm fucking talking about Joker. Why am I talking about Pulp? That movie's like 20 years old.
We were just talking about Pulp, and then you were like, oh, Quentin Tarantino came out with this major cast.
I just said how Todd Phillips is changing the game with how he made the movie. There's no reason to talk about Pulp now. We could talk about Pulp all day, but that's for another episode. By the way, shout out to me for raising a kid who absolutely loves Quentin Tarantino, who I have a 13-year-old. Me, I'm 44. I've got a 13-year-old, and all we do is throw around quotes all day, movie quotes from Pulp Fiction, 1994. He was born in 2005. Shout out to me. That's Dad of the Year. Shout out to Jesus and Meryl. All right, so, but anyway, long story short, we should probably start wrapping this up. In terms of Joker, what do you give it? I know we said 10 out of 10, but I mean... You're solid on that? You don't see any flaws?
Solid on it, but I had a couple flaws.
All right, shoot.
I feel like every time he was with Zazie Beetz' character, I feel like it was a weak interaction. Like everything he did, like when he was when she was there with at the comedy club and in the elevator. And when they were going to eat, and then they went out and went to the newspaper stand, stuff like that. Right. I was like, it felt kind of weak. And then all of a sudden, like, weren't they like really good friends? And then all of a sudden, when Arthur's in her house towards the end of the movie, she's like, "Your name's Arthur, right?" Like she forgot.
No, dude, you missed the complete point. So all right, so here's the thing.
I didn't get that. I was like, what?
You remember before we were talking about how Heath Ledger's character was balanced by Batman?
Yeah.
So in this movie, his emotions were balanced by Zazie Beetz' character. I think her name was Sophie in the movie.
Yeah, I think so.
So Sophie was a single mom. She lived on the same floor. They lived in this bad projects. I want to say it was the Bronx or Harlem or Manhattan, somewhere. It was just a bad neighborhood. And she was the only one who not necessarily felt like she understood him, but because he was a neighbor and he was suffering, it was more like she felt bad for him. It's like, look, he's harmless. I'm nice to him. I see him every day. I have a little girl. I just want to make sure things. So she would talk to him. And the first time that they actually have the interaction, she goes like this to him. Like, and in his head, he's like, yeah, kill myself. That's exactly what I want to do. So he feels he's got a connection with her. Like, he's like, oh yeah, she thinks about just blowing her head off and ending it all because she's had such a rough day. Let's take the easy way out. He's like, fuck, I've always wanted to do that myself. I'm just waiting for my death to happen. So he feels like he can connect with her. Then he invites her out. She's like, yeah, that's cool. I'll come to the comedy club. We'll go have a bite to eat. We'll laugh. When his mom goes to the hospital, she goes with him. Yeah. And is the only person on Earth who was there and acknowledged his existence, and that's what he wanted. When he goes into the house, it's not that she was like, Arthur. Well, first of all, she wanted to make sure it was him. And second of all, bitch, lock your fucking door. You live in the projects. You didn't have your door. He just walked in. He just turned the doorknob. He didn't break in. Yeah. He walked in. He shouldn't have been there, granted. But fucking look what you live.
And she left her kid there.
Yeah. What's wrong with you? Lock your fucking door, Zazzy. Anyway, but she just wanted to make sure. And she was a little bit afraid. So she's like, Arthur, all right, listen, you got to leave now. And maybe at that point, he felt like he crossed the line, or now he lost that connection with her, and now she's like distancing herself from him. So I don't know.
On that though.
Yes. You gonna go with your theory about who you thought she was?
Wait. No, not that one.
Oh no, but
no.
All right, so go to your original point.
We thought that she was gonna be Harley Quinn, or I did.
You thought
Black Harley Quinn.
Hey, why not?
Why not?
I'd co-sign on that.
Idris Elba as 007?
Well, he's not 007 yet, and he
Maybe.
probably won't be.
Probably won't be.
I would love that though. Yeah. For another podcast.
And then, but my main theory is that I think he killed her.
You think he killed her and the daughter?
Right? No, not the daughter. Like
I don't know.
I think at that point, like he was like in that stage, and she was like, "Whoa, what the hell are you doing in my house? Like this is not cool. Like you gotta scoot." Like I think he killed her right there.
I disagree with that. I think.
But you don't see her at all after that.
Well, that was the night that he had to go to what's his name show, right?
Yeah.
No bullshit. That was the night before.
No, it wasn't. No, because it was the night before.
Yeah, because then he's got that other murder that happens.
The other.
When he's getting ready for the show.
Yeah.
Right?
That's
crazy. Okay? But I think he feels that in that point with Zazzy, that he had to... Now they're distant. Whatever bond they had, it's broken because he betrayed her trust. And maybe that's what pushed him over the edge, is like, I just want to kill myself. Remember, his original plan on going to Murray's show was to kill himself on TV, to be a martyr.
Yeah.
And to go on there, and he kept rehearsing. He was like, "Hey, Murray, how you doing? Hey, you want to hear a joke? Bang!" And that was his plan all along until he sat in the couch. He was like, "I'm gonna kill myself. I'll kill this motherfucker right here. You're the reason. You're the reason why I feel so bad. You're shitting on me in my face. You're making these people. You're turning all these people in the studio, all the people watching on TV against me with your fucked up joke. Your head's coming off. Bang!" And made more sense.
Yeah.
At least in his world.
Made more sense. CENTS.
But I would have dug the Harley Quinn thing, but here's my thing. I don't think you needed it.
But then it would have went comic route.
It would have gone the comic route, and they didn't have a kid. 2, I could have sworn Harley, based on other iterations of it, worked at Arkham as a nurse. And then 3, I don't ever want to see a sequel to this movie. Leave it alone.
I think Joaquin Phoenix didn't want to do this again. I think that's what he said. I think I heard something that said he didn't want to do this again.
You know, Joaquin Phoenix is one of those actors where it's not about the money. Like, he's not doing this for the
He wants to choose his roles.
He wants to choose his role. He has to read the script and
be like,
yeah. He's got to be interested in, like, yeah, man, that's a challenge. I'm in. Or he sees something that's different. Like I said, I listened to the interview that he did. Shout out to Chris Hardwick and the ID10T podcast. He had an interview with Joaquin Phoenix, and Joaquin's like, I make a lot of movies that nobody ever sees, and they make no money, but I choose it because I'm interested in the story, or I want to work with that director, or I feel like I can bring something to the role, or I disagree with something in the script, and I want the director to challenge me, and I'll challenge the director so we can clash and make better art or make better decisions. So I don't see him signing up for the big paycheck to do sequels and continue telling the story. And
probably not sequels, but like not a continuation, just like more of Joker, because that's what people are gonna want, and they're gonna end up swindling into something that's gonna lead him him and Todd Phillips to do another project.
If anything, I see this inspiring other writers and directors to tell more stories that aren't tied into a bigger universe.
Or honestly, instead of like a big universe, I think that Todd Phillips himself could do a movie like this with different characters. He could do one with Harley. He can do one maybe even with Batman. What the telling of after Bruce and what he went through from being a child to then.
I mean, but if you do that, now you're expanding more on the characters in that standalone universe.
But the thing is, they're not in the Todd Phillips universe. They're in the Batman universe, not the Todd Phillips film universe.
But I don't even know if Todd Phillips wants to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, look at what damn, I can't remember the director's name.
Of what?
Logan.
Let's just look at it.
Right there. James Mangold.
Really?
Yeah. Am I right? James Mangold.
Where is it?
Yeah, we got smartphones. He could have just gone on IMDb.
My phone's dead.
Dude, it's
James
director.
Mangold.
I know it's James Mangold.
Shut up.
Tell me. It took a little while.
Look.
All right. I just wanted to confirm, verify. So, James Mangold's take on Logan completely different from what the First of all, it happens still within the X-Men universe.
Yeah.
But it's a different take on how any other story was told. And that's a game. Logan is a game changer as well. Outside of Deadpool, Logan's the only other superhero movie where they dropped the F word.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, I think they might have.
I mean, they did
in
it
a
here,
couple,
Joker,
in a couple
but, you know.
Avengers movies.
No, they didn't. And they didn't say fuck. They
Yeah.
might have said shit or asshole, something like that, but they definitely say fuck. Because if I know if I were a superhero and then I see, like, aliens coming from the sky with Loki, or I was seeing Thanos or the snap, people turning around, I'm like, what the fuck? Oh shit! I would have lost my fucking mind, okay? And they're like, huh? Because that's how people react in the real world. They don't like, oh no, oh, it's so sad,
alien.
shit. Oh, what's going on? Oh, he just turned to dust. Oh my,
That's
I'm
America's
broken heart.
ass.
I lost my motherfucking mind. Yeah. So, anyway, but I don't know. I just please do not make a sequel to this movie Joker. It's perfect the way it is. It doesn't need it. It doesn't need a follow up. I don't want to know what happens to Arthur after. I know he's in Arkham, and the reason why is because we're all so familiar with this character. We know what he becomes from here. We never knew how he became what he is, becoming that monster. So yeah, I don't want another one of these. I want a different telling of somebody else who's not even connected to Gotham or Batman or the Joker. Pick somebody out of a fucking hat and just tell me that story.
Oh, I'd like to see a Deadshot. That would be kind of fire.
That shot would be pretty.
Like
cool.
how he like who trained him to have that insane aim, and how he got into the mercenary business and how he became the top mercenary that everybody wants. Like that would be cool. Like the backstory.
Like what they were
from
doing
Suicide Squad.
Okay, it kind of had
That would be
Batman in
dope.
there too.
It did have
So-
Batman. Well, the thing is, in every single Suicide Squad telling in the backstory, Batman was the
They
one
were
who
all-
came and brought them to the prison.
Gotcha. All right,
And that's how Batman was connected to Suicide Squad.
So if you were to see more one-shot standalone films, you would want to see how each Batman villain.
Not
Where
even
they
just
came
Batman
from.
villain. Not because like there's not a lot of Batman villains I'm a fan of. Like I'm not huge on the Riddler.
Okay.
I'm not huge on. I mean, Catwoman's pretty cool. Like Halle Berry Catwoman.
That movie sucked. He just
it
he
sucked.
just gave me that look like, you know, how to burn a cow, you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Poison
that's
Ivy.
sexy.
Like there's no need to find out what she is.
Poison Ivy. You know what that means? That means she got crotch rot.
She got.
That's the
yeast
thing.
infection.
She's got STDs. That's how they should make Poison Ivy. There's this chick that she was a slut in high school, and she was giving
But, like,
out
they
wild,
can't- but they
burning
can't-
wild dicks.
But they can't film that.
Huh?
They can't like do like a
Be creative. There's ways you can do it. You don't have to see
animated film.
You don't have to see that.
Animated
Like no,
film.
she had like a burning bush. Like she had crabs in there. She had all sorts of shit. And then dudes going like, I got gonorrhea. I got fucking chlamydia.
This is what
I
I
got
have to
like
live with.
AIDS. Oh, it's foaming from the mouth. And then she's like, yo, that fucking bitch Poison Ivy poisoned my dick. Yeah, you know. So no.
No.
Warner Brothers, cut the check. That's a good movie right there.
Nah. Dude,
R-rated.
My Deadshot one's better.
R-rated. My what?
My Deadshot one's better.
Yeah. Poison Ivy.
Deadshot.
Poison Choach. That's a good one right there.
Deadshot.
I'll write it.
And I will cast Will Smith to play him again.
Yo, maybe Poison Ivy was a victim of It Follows.
But wouldn't she have like the horny shit that makes her like a possessing?
Oh yeah, I guess
Yeah,
that's
because they walked around like naked.
that movie
shit.
was weird.
That movie was horrible.
Yeah, I don't know, but you know what we should do? Future episode of Midnight Hustle?
Watch it again.
No, we
Okay,
can
good.
do that.
I don't wanna do
But it's
that.
October.
Don't wanna
We
do
need to get into Halloween movies.
Well, I mean,
I know we're watching Halloween movies.
Brightburn Video.
Ooh, I haven't watched that.
And I got a theory on that too.
You do?
Yep.
All right. We'll talk. Why don't we wrap this one up? We start hitting it up. Yo, don't forget, subscribe, comment. You disagree? I don't give a fuck, but just put it down there in the comments box. Follow us on our social media. Hit us up. We want to interact with you. It's that Midnight Hustle right here. I'm DieHard Derek. This is Flash Nico G. We out.